thank you for your service. It happens the whole year round. And so I, as well as others, feel very awkward because we're not proud, particularly proud of what we represented and looking in hindsight of what we did. And so this is to put the focus back on the armistice, as Dan was telling us about. That Armistice Day was a day to remember the horror of war so that it would not be repeated, so that we would work for peace. On Veterans Day, I was told November 11th was to remember Flanders Field in hopes that knowing of its horrors, war might be repealed. But now I'm thanked on Veterans Day for the service I have given, yet heart and soul are plagued with thoughts of foreign children suffering. I want to think the bombs and drones have made a safer place, but what I see is homelessness, shock and fear upon each face. I want to tell my captain that this strike had been an error. His curt reply, "You think too much. We're fighting the war on terror." So I wonder if my service could have helped the cause of peace. The money spent on drones and bombs been spent to bring relief. If fear was motivation for overwhelming armament or profits for big companies, defense establishment. So I reply on Veterans Day, thank your country doc, or Doctors Without Borders, Mercy Corps, or the Red Cross, Peace Corps, or missionaries who sacrifice for peace. As for me, I used to be a tool for those who brought much grief, but now I'm thinking clearer, hoping in a better way. Heal the sick, work for peace, to honor Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Armistice Day, which is the 11th day of the 11th month. It was during that minute in 1918 that millions upon millions of human beings stopped butchering one another. I have talked to old men who were on the battlefield during that minute. They told me in one way or another that the sudden silence was the voice of God. So we will still have among us some men who can remember that God spoke clearly to mankind. Armistice Day has become Veterans Day. Armistice Day was sacred. Veterans Day is not. So I will throw Veterans Day over my shoulder. Armistice Day I will keep. I don't want to throw away any sacred things. What else is sacred? Romeo and Juliet, for instance, and all music is. Now in 1929 was the first official proclamation that it was going to be Armistice Day. In 1936 or something like that, 34, it was officially proclaimed. And it was to be a day of peace and thanksgiving and to work for peace. And in 1954, oh look, a ladybug. In 1954, that's a good sign. In 1954, they changed the proclamation for Armistice Day just by removing Armistice Day and putting in Veterans Day. But they didn't change that it was supposed to be a day of Thanksgiving and peace. They just changed it. So he has another one on that. Oh, it's so damn cheap, so damn typical. This used to be a day to honor the dead of World War I, but the living couldn't keep their grubby hands off of it. Wanted the glory of the dead for themselves. So typical. So typical. Anytime anything of real dignity appears in this country, it's torn to shreds and thrown to the mob.
Good.
My name's Albert Lee, and I'm an Army veteran. My wife is a veteran. My dad was a veteran. My father-in-law is a veteran. And we all joined the military for different reasons. My dad joined in 1970 out of high school because he really had no choice. He had a low draft card number, which would automatically send him to Vietnam, or he could try to sign up and hope for something better. He signed up, they sent him to a mechanic school, and then eventually to Korea, which is why I'm here today. When I served in the Old Guard at Arlington National Cemetery, and I'm very veterans. We had 14 to 17 funerals a day. And like you said, there was a lot of theatrics. There was a lot of pomp and circumstance. There was a lot of promotion and celebrating war, celebrating all of the atrocities that our government and our country have done throughout these many, many years. Now, when I look at the resolution that Dan read, that's what we need to fight for. We need to fight for peace. We need to stop offensive wars. The military is only supposed to be there for defense. It's not supposed to be there for offense. Last night, I had the opportunity to go and sit and watch a film on what's going on in Israel right now, and in the Gaza, and in the West Bank, where children, 12 years old, are being brutalized and attacked by a military that we supply weapons to, a military that we support, an apartheid state that we support. Our foreign policy has always been, as Dan has already mentioned, geared toward benefiting the very few at the top so that they can continue to make a profit on the bodies of those of us who come from the bottom. When I joined the military, I was an infantry soldier. And the majority of the soldiers that I knew going in came from very, very poor backgrounds. Some without running water in 1999. Some without electricity in 1999. They call this an all-volunteer army. It is not. It is an army of the poor. It is the army of the black and the brown. It is an army that regular Americans, whatever that means, can say thank you for your service, because there's no sweat off their back. We got to bring our soldiers home. We need to bring our military back within the borders of this country, and we need to stop spending $6-7 trillion to kill black and brown bodies around the world so that a few may profit, so that Donald Trump can profit, so that Boeing can profit, so that Lockheed Martin can profit. We need to take those industries, that military-industrial complex, and convert it into a green industrial complex. We have folks, we have a lot of brilliant minds out there that are being used to continue to create weapons of mass destruction, to continue to create things that are going to kill people. We need to take those brilliant minds and get them focused on saving this planet. We need to get these minds to figure out how we're going to find renewable energy, how we're going to have better batteries, how we're going to save and be more in tune with nature and not be separate from it. So I am happy to join you all today. I look forward to being involved more with Veterans for Peace because I think that that's what we need to do. We need to focus on harnessing and taking back what Eisenhower has said, this military-industrial complex that has taken over the soul of this country. Thank you.